All right, I'm going to call the City of Wilmington Finance Administration Land Acquisition Committee meeting for Tuesday, March 21st to order at 6:01. All right. Has anybody had a chance to review the minutes? Not very long.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from February 21st and then placed on file.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Review accounting reports as presented by City Accountant.
Okay, the first report is the check register for tonight's meeting. I'll go through a couple unusual items. The first one is on page 4 to Kesslin Engineering. Those would be inspection fees for building Charlie out at the Ridgeport Development. The permit fees were paid in full, and that's just the portion that says for inspection. Going on to page 5, in Fund 2, there's 2 payments to the Illinois EPA, one for $20,476.51, and the other for $14,268.91. Those are payments on the loans. The first one is for the Route 53 water main project, and the second one was from plant improvements. Going on to page 6, under the Water Capital Projects Fund, Zenner Performance, there's a payment in the amount of $8,975.12. Those are for the Fireflies, the remote readers. We've been having a lot of those fail in recent days. Now there is a planned obsolescence in those, and those are coming out of those meter fees that go into the Capital Project Fund on every bill. Fund 25, the Ridgeport TIF 2 Fund, there's a payment there to PGAV. Those are part of the administrative costs and managing our TIF fund. Other than that, does anybody have any questions on any of those other checks that are listed?
Anybody have anything? Thank you.
I'll move on to the collector's report. This is pretty straightforward. In the month of February, there were really no large permit fees being paid. There were a few small developer reimbursement, some for Colby's engineering time, and some that were just passed through for outside consultants. Again, nothing too shocking or surprising there. Moving on to the next page 8. This is the general ledger revenue versus expense summary. The year-to-date balance before period is the balance of January 31st. Then obviously the revenues for February, the expenses for February, and then what the balance is between that difference. So this is not looking at cash on hand. This is just saying this fiscal year to date, this is where we're showing revenues over expenses or vice versa. So there are a couple funds that are showing a negative. The first one being the Sewer Capital Project Fund. However, we were anticipating to use fund balance. So the budgeted amount was $150,000 negative. So we're part of the way there, but it was a planned occurrence. And the ESDA fund, that's also showing a negative because we planned on using some of that fund balance as well. So they're not true losses, they were planned activities. And then the rest is just detail. Going on, if you want to look at more detail per fund. Lastly, we will be at the next finance meeting doing line item transfers to balance the lines up there. All of the funds at this point, if they've gone over on lines, they have not exceeded their authority to spend overall. So this will be kind of a reorganization of those line items.
Anybody have any questions on that? No. Kim, what else you got?
That's it for those reports.
That's it for you. Well, thank you very
For
much.
those reports.
Anybody have anything else for Kim while we have her? All right, thanks, Kim. Let's move on to number 4, review and approve the payments of net TIF increment due to the owner assignment entities of Ridgeport Intermodal Terminal Facility Area of Wilmington TIF number 2, not to exceed the 2015 tax increment paid 2016 in the amount not to exceed $990,484.86. Alrighty then.
Would you like to know what that means?
It means we collected it.
That's why we have
We're giving it back to the developer to pay for infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's a not to exceed because that is the total amount that was collected in the increment. However, we will be deducting from that the annual set aside that the city has allowed since the inception. Prior to this year, we've not recognized a lot of those revenues coming in. The increment has been minimal. I mean, we've been incurring expenses. So the next meeting, you'll see some of those, hopefully you'll see a lot of the amount going out back to the developers, as well as some additional bills that will be reimbursing the general corporate fund for expenses we paid that should have been paid out of this fund, but we didn't have the cash. So this not to exceed is probably going to be a lot less than that.
Some set-asides will be collected
We have to
and
approve-
repaid.
We have to approve the eligible TIF expenses, so that'll be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that? Let's move to 5, review and approve request to reduce or eliminate the building permit fees for VFW's new construction. I have some issues. As far as I know, there's not a complete list of contractors that have been brought forth in this permit. The last permit I saw had a lot of TBAs, to be determined, and
They're
we
doing a lot
also
of,
never saw a plan.
Yeah, volunteer labor. I know, well, the plan's been in place. Chuck has already reviewed the entire plan review and approved the plan review plan. It just wasn't determined on a lot of the contractors because he was looking for a lot of volunteer help through the process. I think one thing I liked is what Larry brought up at the last meeting is to maybe do it at the end of the, once occupancy is delivered, if conditions are met, you know, everything's been met accordingly and in a properly timed fashion with no, you know, additional inspections and stuff like that, maybe you kick back 50%. I mean, it's just a thought. Something that had, no decision has to be made. I know we haven't made a decision, we keep tossing it around. It's just a request that they've made. But maybe if you offer that as some type of incentive, kind of like a facade type incentive, you know, we do a facade improvement type thing. We offer this as some type of incentive to ensure that they.
Yeah, because I agree with what Frank said, but I think what we need to do is we need to talk about it before we do anything else.
Maybe what we'll do is,
figure out which way to go.
Let's get the VFW representatives in here, and if they can give you guys a better defined plan of what they're looking at doing in relation to not only the building and construct, but what, you know, a lot of those answered questions you have with who they plan on having doing it. And if they've got those people lined up, and maybe we have them in here, maybe they can provide those answers for you to make it a little bit more comfortable in whatever decision you guys like to make.
Do they have a blueprint already?
Yeah, the blueprint for the FBI building is, I think they've already paid $50,000 towards that.
This request, Mayor, is for a reduction or an elimination of the fee, and that is, I don't think that is what we're talking about now. We're talking about maybe a reimbursement after the fact. So I don't know if we should scrap this item and have them make a different request, or tell them that this may be something we're offering, but we need to send this to a committee to discuss it, or how do you want to handle it?
Well, I mean, we're technically in committee now, so that's why, you know, I figured finance administration was the best committee to handle it.
Just a little sparse on people.
Yeah, I mean, their basic premise was, you know, it's a $1.4 million building. And our ordinance says on the commercial structure is a 1% building permit fee based on the cost of the building, which was around $14,796. Of that, about $3,200 of it would not be part of any reduction because those costs were to Chuck Kesslin and plan review and anticipated like that. Could have been significantly higher, but Chuck did waive all his inspection fees. So, you know, he'll conduct all the inspections, there'll be no fees charged on that. At the same time, they was looking for, you know, some type of reduction. So let's say you're looking at about $11,000, maybe a little bit higher, closer to 12. But you look and see, let them present the plan to you, what they're looking for. They're, you know, they made the argument that they do, you know, donate and commit a lot to the local people in town, as well as the Mantino's Veterans Home. And that's what they're looking for, with some help in that regard. So, could it all be covered in insurance? Probably. But let's have them in here to make their presentation. You guys
Okay,
can make the
this item is on the agenda for tonight for approval, and there's a motion.
Yeah, if you don't bring it out of committee, it won't be on the agenda.
That's, I guess that's my point. So I'm not comfortable bringing this out of committee this evening. Does anybody else have any comments?
And I'll get with the leaders of the VFW and have them make a presentation to you guys.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
All right.
Thank you.
So that'll be
Number
taken
6.
off tonight's agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know that's committee, so we're going
Thank
to.
you.
Not making a decision, not a committee, can't make a decision, council.
Okay, number 6. Review and approve the electric service agreement offered by Dynegy Energy Services LLC, Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative. How'd you do on that?
Thank you, Chairman. I think we did very well. Presently, right now, we're paying $5.23 per kilowatt hour. Under the bidding process, the aggregate number for next year would be $5.005 per kilowatt hour. In year 2 would be $5.155 per kilowatt hour. And in year 3 would be 5.154 per kilowatt hour. Even though the trend tended to be going up, the year 3 was still less than what we're paying right now. So we opted to go for, as my understanding that we had done in the past, for that 3-year plan on that. And under the agreement we had into, we were obligated to tentatively approve it within 24 hours when the bid came through, which we did. And then we have to submit it to City Council for formal ratification, which you're doing this evening. So our recommendation is to approve that contract as submitted.
Okay, it sounds to me like you guys did your due diligence on this.
NYMEX pretty much been the standard that we've used for years, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've
Seems to be the
been,
best out there because we got the largest collaborative.
yeah, they have 133 members, and in that offering, 70% of those members took the 3-year option. There was a member of the date of the bid letting, so to speak, and NYMEX came in 4% less than another competitor on that same day. So that's good for us.
Looking for a motion to send the electrical service agreement to council for approval.
I will second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Number 7, review and approve the authorization to purchase a vehicle in the amount not to exceed $67,000 for ESDA. What do we got?
We're looking to purchase a 2017 F450 Ford crew cab with a 11-foot service box on it to pull our trailers, just the all-around utility vehicle for ESDA. We get that $67,000 not to exceed amount because that's what we have in the need fund. And I went through several quotes with different dealers in the area, and Mantino Ford came up with $42,691, and with the emergency lights installed and the lettering truck, we're right around $54,500. We want to replace one of our older 2001 trucks with 140,000 miles on it that we received from a police seizure 8 years ago.
Yeah, who the other ones were? What were the other ones?
We have the black one, that's
They're all in the packet.
Sorry.
Mayor.
They're on the very back, the last couple pages.
That last 2 pages and the back of the last page.
Oh, yeah, we also had that black one, that was 2000. We're still going to use that one too.
So what, we try to put the old one up for sale then maybe?
Yeah, put up for sale or to see if any of the other city departments need it first, and we put up for sale. I don't know what a 2001 pickup truck would,
Do these quotes on the back for the emergency, the lettering and emergency, do they apply to all? Is that your quote?
Yeah, yeah,
So add those to all, basically?
yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Right,
All
right.
right.
And we try to hit every dealer in town here, GMC, they don't make a truck that size, but they leave us a quote on a regular 3/4 ton or ton truck. And Lombardi's, we asked them and they didn't give us anything, so. And Durazio, they're a lot higher than Mantino. Mantino was the cheapest one.
I see that.
Yeah, they were pretty much the same without the box.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering if that was the wrong price, but I talked to Tim Zalone, that last pickup truck they bought, and he said, no, Mantino beat him like $8,000, Durazio, $8,000.
Okay.
So with all the bells and whistles, Dennis said 67,000.
Yeah, it's a hard one to
No.
write it down.
No, it'll be right around
You
55,000.
gotta remember, if you're trying to buy in town, they gotta be competitive.
Yep.
You gotta sharpen your pencils.
The upside is the vehicle still could be serviced at Durazzo, so that for the benefit moving forward, the dealership in that respect.
And you know, I do this for a living, and you gotta keep them honest. You can't make assumptions that just because it's local that you're gonna get the business. You have to stay
Did you by chance
competitive.
go to Durazio and see if they'd match it?
Yeah, it's right here.
No, I didn't.
Oh, to see if they'd match it.
No, I never did. I had a problem with them. I asked them for a quote for a truck with a box on it. Well, we can't get the box for you. You have to go out and get that separately and everything. And
Yeah.
all the other people said,
No,
yeah, we
it's
can
not.
get a box for you. And then-
Okay.
You gave them a shot, they lost.
Yep.
Thought I'd ask, gotta ask.
Okay, so this being said, the number falls within your,
Yep.
not to exceed, well within.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You did very well here, obviously,
Yeah.
and that's with everything included. You need to operate that truck.
Right, right.
Okay.
You know, I might need a little, because we, after we got these quotes and everything, we discussed it ourselves, and we thought maybe we could store couple extra bolt motors in there. And you might have to maybe get a little taller box on one of them or something like that. So there might be a little bit more for a different box, you know. We can check that out and see what, you know.
How do you have to purchase that
I'm not-
outright?
Pardon?
Do you have to purchase that outright, or are you gonna have that done by the?
No,
Is that gonna be done by the,
dealer will take care of that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's part of the truck.
okay.
I just thought maybe we could maybe customize that a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know, you know, price on that, I don't know, so.
Is this truck getting radio installed, or is this gonna be a handheld that you're?
No, it's gonna get a radio installed too.
Yeah, so this is one of the ones that'll have a radio
Right,
installed.
that's on the back, the installation, emergency lights, fire.
Yep, I didn't see the radio installation in there though.
I didn't put that on there, but.
But it's
It was under Cam's
It's
communication.
part of that budget we have ongoing for that larger
that's-
property. We
I got
have
a
changing
budget
all
for that
these
for next
radios
year.
out, correct? Yes.
For all of the vehicles.
Yeah. Okay, okay,
I'll make the motion.
can I get a motion to accept the lowest bidder's price for the quote for the Wilmington as a service truck and send it to council for full approval?
Did you
I
make
got
it?
it, I
Make
did.
it, I was not gonna.
Okay, you're making it to accept the quote from Mantino Ford?
Yeah.
Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a second, any further discussion? I'm going one step ahead. No, we're good? All
I
in favor?
talked to him about it already,
All
so
right. So
they're good.
we're good on sending this forward to full council. All right, thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Let's move on to number 8. Review and approve the annexation agreement between Barney Castillo and the PIN number here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, we all know what we're talking about.
Yep, we sure do.
Are we okay to debate this under finance if we tabled it at council?
Well, we tabled it to not necessarily take back to planning and zoning, but I think there was more discussion that was needed at the council. And annexation requires a 2/3 vote of the council. We had drafted a potential annexation agreement, and I intended to, John Urban, take a look at it. But I think the big question, do we go further with it? Is there sufficient support for a 2/3 agreement?
Well, if you don't even move forward past the annexation agreement, there's no reason to move forward on 9 and 10,
Exactly.
the way it is. And then with the annexation agreement, unless somebody else shows up for this council meeting, you don't have 2/3 here.
In which case we'd have to carry it over to the next meeting.
you need 6, including myself, so 5 including myself, I should say.
So, all we do as soon as here at the council meeting is whether or not there's, you know, of those who show up, you know.
That's if it makes it out of committee.
Well, I think even at a committee, well, I don't know. I don't know if at a committee would need 2/3. In my opinion, that we would just, to be on the safe side, I'd rather prefer just to review it here. If anybody has any comments in regards to the annexation, so make them, but I think the vote should come actually at council meeting because that's when we tabled it, when the motion was presented 2 meetings ago.
Basically, the way the agreement is drafted, will provide, you know, as discussed at the council meeting, will provide for the I-2 zoning and allow for the uses presented by the Castillos, and we would incorporate within the agreement, you know, all of those acknowledgements the Castillos made with respect to the IDNR recommendation that will become part and parcel of that annexation agreement for that property. So, you know, in essence, that is what we'd be looking at.
Right.
You know, providing if the city needed an easement to get across the property for an extension of utilities, so on and so forth, so. Just in standard language.
My personal opinion is I think this thing creates nothing but liability for the city for not a lot of gain on bringing this in. It's my opinion that the petitioner has come forward to Wilmington because he didn't like the answer he got at Will County, and in my opinion also, I think that that business out there butted up to the forest preserve property that it is, and the property that lies just east of it, being old homestead property with some challenges, to say the least, leads me to the belief that I just find no value in bringing these people into the city and absorbing the possible liabilities that could be incurred. That's my opinion. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Said it perfect. What I've been
I
saying,
agree with you.
I don't see any gain for us at all for the city of Columbus. Like you said earlier too, it could be like the Marathon gas station, it could be a sore thumb. And we have that happen, and all of a sudden something happens, well, we're gonna get stuck with it.
Well, we got a situation out there where we've got Connex boxes on site already. We don't allow anybody else to have those. We've got a berm on site. We've got stone driveways we're dealing with out there. Everything is just so far out of what our, what our building plan is here in the city. I just don't see a win here for us. And I don't see him having any neighbors. I don't see him, I think I asked the question directly to him if he had any intentions on acquiring any of the other property that's available and trying to clean it up and make it developable, and he said absolutely not because of the fact that it has a lot of challenges. So that being said, he's out there on an island and we're taking him into the city, and I'm having a hard time finding any value.
I agree.
We're not gonna make any money out there. There's no way, there's no hookups or anything to that effect.
Annexations typically have a benefit either directly or indirectly with the typical annexation. Sometimes they're indirect because they're to get to a point that benefits the city, like we did with Tamlin campgrounds, rink farms, stuff like that. We have this parcel of property is basically, I believe, annexed on all 3 sides anyway. So there's no need to get to this to utilize this parcel to get to another parcel. So, yeah, that's the challenges that we faced early on. Those were the challenges I believe he was aware of. But, it was his desire to continue to proceed, to try to make it work. But ultimately it comes down to you guys to make the ultimate decision whether the benefit is there or not.
Okay.
So what do you want to do, Frank? You want to go ahead and...
Well, the thing is, what I'd like to do is, just for the sake of any argument, we tabled the motion at council meeting. So the approval of the annexation agreement should come up at council. You guys don't need to move forward to send it to council. We tabled it at council. That's what I'm thinking, is the motion should come to approve, and if you guys choose to deny, you deny the annexation. If you deny the annexation agreement, then the other two become irrelevant.
Perhaps the appropriate thing might be do it, if you tabled it, is maybe hold it off to the next meeting when the full contingent of the board is here, and we can let Castillo's know so they can be present, for that action to take place.
We could hold off, but I think what would be wise, Frank, is to communicate to Mr. Castillo
Which
that,
we will.
based on committee's input from finance, that there seemed to be a unanimous consensus without having a vote to not proceed with the annexation. So we can do that too. We can hold off with any movement in council meeting, but if there's another approach that he wants to try to make or attempt to make, he has every opportunity to do that. If it drastically changes, I think that what would have to happen is it would have to go back to planning and zoning. But if he still wants to hold, true to what he's agreed to already and bring it forth to council, and then the council can make the decision to approve or deny it.
Well, there doesn't appear to be sufficient support to
I
overcome
just
that.
strongly sense the consensus is not for moving forward with the annexation.
Okay.
So is there any further action required from the committee?
I would say no, and the same thing with 9 and 10. Because if we can't get past the annexation agreement, there's no need of moving forward with the other two because those are tied into the annexation directly.
And you said, am I hearing you correctly when you're saying it's going to take 6 votes to,
You need 2/3 for annexation, so it'd be 2/3 of 9, you need 6 affirmative votes.
what about to deny the annexation?
If you don't, if the motion was made 5-4, if the motion was made to approve, and it was 5 in favor, 4 against,
It would not move.
it would not pass. Because you need at least 6 affirmative votes.
If it gets 5 or less votes, it does not move forward. The annexation is just defeated.
So if we were to bring this forward to full council this evening and vote on it, and they did not receive enough votes, it would,
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, but I think what we'd have to do is we'd have to have the allotted 6 members here
that's my question.
Yeah, we're gonna have
to be present to move forward with that.
That's my question.
I don't think if there's 6 people here, we should move forward. But at the same time, I think what I would like to do, is council's choice when we come to at least inform Mr. Castillo. I don't know if he's going to be here or not. The consensus at a committee wasn't going to move forward.
Okay, we don't have our legal advisor here at this time.
No, but I think we can go through those same questions again in council.
Okay. That takes us down to number 11, public comments. Do we have any public comments? For the financial? None heard, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.